Being home alone sounds peaceful until the house starts acting like someone else is living there too. A girl living alone in a small apartment began noticing tiny things missing every night. Food disappearing, cabinet doors opening by themselves, footsteps in the kitchen after midnight. At first, she thought stress was messing with her mind. But one night, she installed a hidden camera inside her apartment. And what that camera recorded turned an ordinary apartment into one of the most terrifying real-life home alone nightmares ever. The apartment was small, one bedroom, tiny kitchen, old white walls stained from years of humidity. Nothing special about it. The building sat quietly between crowded streets where nobody paid attention to anyone else. And honestly, that's exactly why she liked living there. No roommates, no interruptions, no noise, just peace. Or at least, that's what she believed in the beginning. Her daily routine never changed. Wake up, go to work, come home late, cook dinner, sleep, repeat. Simple, normal, predictable. But strange things slowly started happening inside the apartment. Very small things at first, so small, most people would ignore them completely. One evening, she opened the refrigerator and noticed a sandwich missing. She stood there confused for a second. Maybe she ate it earlier and forgot. She laughed it off. Long work hours can make anyone tired. But then it happened again. And again. Juice bottles emptied faster than usual. Snacks disappeared overnight. Bread packets looked opened. Not torn violently. Carefully opened. Like someone was trying not to leave evidence behind. At first, she blamed herself. Then she blamed stress. Then lack of sleep. But deep inside, a dangerous feeling started growing. Something wasn't right inside that apartment. A week later, she returned home after work and immediately stopped near the kitchen. One cabinet door was open, just slightly, only a few inches, but she clearly remembered shutting it before leaving. She stared at it silently. The apartment suddenly felt colder than usual. Not physically cold, emotionally cold, like entering a room where someone had just been standing seconds earlier. That night, she checked every lock twice before sleeping. Front door, windows, balcony, everything secure. Still, sleep didn't come easily. Every tiny sound felt louder. Pipes creaking, floor settling, wind touching the windows. At around 2 a.m., she heard it. A soft noise from the kitchen. Tap. Then silence. A few seconds later, another sound, like plastic rubbing against plastic. Her eyes immediately opened. She held her breath and listened carefully. Nothing. Complete silence. But the feeling remained. Someone was awake inside the apartment. Slowly, she grabbed her phone and turned on the flashlight. The hallway outside her bedroom looked pitch black. Every step toward the kitchen made her heart beat louder. When she finally reached the doorway, she froze. The refrigerator door was slightly open. Cold white light spilled across the floor, but nobody was there. After that night, fear became part of her routine. Before sleeping, she started checking every corner of the apartment. Under the bed, bathroom curtains, closets, kitchen cabinets. Nothing. No intruder. No explanation. But the strange activity continued. And somehow, that made things worse. Because if nobody was there, then how were things moving? Days later, she came home earlier than usual. The apartment smelled strange. Not horrible. Just unfamiliar. Like another person had been inside recently. She walked into the kitchen and immediately noticed her water bottle sitting in a different place, tiny detail, but enough. At that moment, she stopped doubting herself completely. Someone had definitely entered the apartment. The terrifying part: there were no broken locks, no damaged windows, no signs of forced entry. It was as if whoever entered already belonged there. She contacted police. Officers inspected the apartment quickly but found nothing suspicious. Everything looked normal. One officer even suggested anxiety might be causing paranoia. That answer made her feel completely helpless, because now she was trapped between two terrifying possibilities. Either someone was secretly entering her home, or she was losing her mind. That night, instead of sleeping, she made a decision. She borrowed a small motion camera from a coworker and placed it facing the kitchen before leaving for work the next morning. Then she waited. For hours. Nothing happened. No alerts. No movement. And slowly, she started feeling embarrassed. Maybe the police were right. Maybe stress really was affecting her. But late that evening, her phone vibrated. Motion detected. Her chest tightened instantly, hands shaking. She opened the camera feed. The kitchen appeared empty. For a moment, nothing moved. Then suddenly, a shadow appeared near the upper cabinet above the refrigerator, and slowly, a human figure crawled downward from a hidden space near the ceiling, barefoot, silent, calm. Like this wasn't the first time. The figure quietly walked toward the refrigerator, opened it, and started eating food in complete darkness. The girl nearly dropped her phone. She immediately called emergency services while staring at the live footage in horror. When police arrived, they searched the apartment carefully again. This time, they discovered a hidden storage compartment above the kitchen cabinets. Inside that cramped space, officers found blankets, empty bottles, food wrappers, and signs that someone had been secretly living there for a long time. The intruder had reportedly hidden silently during daytime hours and only moved around late at night when the apartment owner slept or left for work. Imagine discovering that. Every night you thought you were home alone. Someone else was only a few feet away, listening, watching, waiting in darkness. The case later shocked people across the internet because it exposed one terrifying reality. Sometimes the scariest horror stories don't involve ghosts, just real humans hiding where nobody thinks to look. And even today, people still remember this story for one horrifying reason. The victim locked her doors every single night, but the danger was already inside the apartment the entire time. Most people think staying home alone is relaxing, until the house starts making sounds that nobody can explain. A teenage girl once stayed alone for a single night inside her family home. By morning, police would discover someone had been secretly living beneath the house the entire time. The house stood at the end of a quiet neighborhood street. Old wooden floors, small basement, thin walls that creaked every time wind touched the roof. Nothing about it looked dangerous. The girl living there was used to staying home alone while her parents worked late. Usually she enjoyed it. She would watch movies downstairs, eat snacks, and stay awake late at night. But one rainy evening, something inside the house felt wrong from the moment she locked the front door. At first it was small noises, tiny sounds beneath the floorboards, soft thuds, almost impossible to notice. She ignored them. Old houses always make sounds. That's what she kept telling herself. Around 11 p.m., while sitting in the living room watching television, she heard a loud bang from somewhere below the house. Not outside, underneath. The sound startled her badly enough that she muted the TV immediately. Silence filled the room. Then came another sound, slow scraping, like something heavy dragging across concrete. Her eyes slowly moved toward the basement door near the kitchen. The house suddenly felt freezing cold. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then the basement doorknob moved slightly, just once. Tiny movement, but enough to make her heart start racing. She grabbed her phone flashlight and slowly walked toward the kitchen. Every step felt heavier. Rain slammed against the windows outside. The hallway creaked beneath her feet. And when she finally reached the basement door, the knob stopped moving. She stood there, silently listening. Nothing. No footsteps. No voices. Complete silence. After a few seconds, she nervously laughed at herself. Maybe old pipes caused the noise. Maybe she was overthinking. But deep down, her instincts kept screaming that someone was inside the house. That night, sleep refused to come. Every tiny sound made her eyes open again. Floor creaks, wind outside, branches touching windows. Then sometime after midnight, she heard footsteps beneath the living room floor. Slow, heavy, human footsteps. Not rats, not pipes. Someone walking directly underneath her. She sat upright in bed, frozen completely still. The footsteps stopped. Then suddenly, 3 loud knocks echoed from beneath the floorboards. Bang, bang, bang. She nearly screamed. For the next several minutes, silence returned. Then she heard another sound, a scratching noise, very slow, coming from somewhere inside the walls near her bedroom. Her breathing became shaky. The scratching continued for several seconds before stopping completely. That's when she heard breathing. Very faint breathing, directly underneath her bedroom floor. She immediately grabbed her phone and called her father, crying. But her parents were over an hour away. Her father told her to lock herself inside the bedroom until they arrived. So she pushed a chair against the door and sat silently on the bed, trying not to panic. Then suddenly, a loud slam echoed from downstairs, followed by footsteps running beneath the floor. Fast footsteps, like someone crawling underneath the house. She covered her mouth, trying not to make noise. Then came the worst sound of the night. A slow knock on her bedroom floor from underneath. 3 soft taps, directly beneath her bed. She completely broke down crying and called emergency services. Police arrived minutes later and searched the house carefully. At first, they found nothing. No broken windows, no unlocked doors, no sign anyone entered the home. But one officer noticed fresh dirt near the basement wall. After moving old storage shelves aside, police discovered a hidden opening leading into a narrow crawl space beneath the house. Inside, they found blankets, food wrappers, water bottles, flashlights, and clear evidence someone had secretly been living underneath the home for days. Investigators later believed the intruder moved through the crawl space at night, while the family slept upstairs, completely unaware. Everyone thinks the worst part about being home alone is the silence. But sometimes, the silence is dangerous because it lets you hear things that were always there. In 2001, a babysitter staying alone inside a large house started receiving strange phone calls late at night. At first, The caller only breathed quietly into the phone. Then he started whispering things. And before sunrise, police would discover the calls were coming from inside the house itself. The house stood in a quiet neighborhood in Columbia. Large living room, long dark hallway, 2 floors, and huge windows that looked completely black at night. The girl staying there that evening was 19 years old. She was babysitting while the parents attended a party across town. The kids had already fallen asleep upstairs, and for the first few hours, everything felt completely normal. She watched television, ate snacks in the kitchen, texted friends, typical quiet night. But sometime after midnight, the phone rang. The sound echoed loudly through the empty house. She answered casually, but nobody spoke, only breathing. Very slow breathing. Then the line disconnected. At first she thought it was a prank call, so she ignored it. But 15 minutes later, the phone rang again. This time, a man whispered softly, "Did you check on the children?" Then the call ended. A cold feeling instantly spread through her body. She stared at the phone silently for several seconds. The question felt wrong, too personal. How did the caller know children were inside the house? Trying not to panic, she checked upstairs. Both kids were asleep safely in their rooms. Nothing unusual. No open windows. No movement. Still, something felt horribly wrong now. She locked the front door again and returned downstairs. But the entire atmosphere inside the house had changed. Every hallway suddenly looked darker. Every room felt too quiet. Then the phone rang a third time. The moment she answered, the same voice returned, this time sounding slightly angry. "Why haven't you checked the children again?" The girl immediately hung up. Her hands were shaking now. She called the parents and explained everything. The father tried calming her down and said it was probably teenagers making prank calls, but she no longer believed that. Because while standing near the kitchen, she suddenly heard something upstairs. A soft creak, like someone stepping slowly across the hallway floor. She froze completely. The children were asleep. So who was walking upstairs? For several seconds, silence returned. Then another creak echoed from above. Slow footsteps, moving carefully through the second-floor hallway. She whispered the children's names softly. No answer. The footsteps stopped immediately. Now her heart was pounding so hard she could barely breathe. She grabbed a kitchen knife without thinking and slowly moved toward the staircase. Every step upward felt heavier. The second-floor hallway was dark except for faint moonlight entering through a window. The children's bedroom doors remained closed. Nothing moved. Then suddenly, the phone downstairs started ringing again. The loud sound nearly made her scream. She ran downstairs immediately and answered while shaking uncontrollably. The man whispered again, but this time, his voice sounded closer, almost like he was inside the house. "I'm watching you." Then the line disconnected. At that moment, she finally called police. The operator instructed her to stay on the phone while officers traced the calls. She locked herself inside the kitchen, trying not to cry. Then she heard it. A loud thump upstairs, followed by slow footsteps crossing the hallway again. This time, there was no doubt. Someone was inside the house. The operator suddenly became serious. Her voice changed instantly. "Listen carefully," she said. "Officers are on the way right now. You need to leave the house immediately." The babysitter asked why. Then the operator said something that terrified her forever. "The calls are coming from inside the house." For a second, her brain refused to process the words. Inside the house, that was impossible. But then she heard movement directly above the kitchen ceiling, heavy footsteps. The caller had been upstairs the entire time. She ran toward the front door, crying hysterically. And just as she unlocked it, she heard a bedroom door upstairs creak open slowly. Police arrived moments later and searched the home. According to reports, an intruder had been hiding inside the upper floor during the night while making calls from another phone line inside the house. The case later became one of America's most terrifying home invasion legends because of one horrifying idea. The victim believed danger was outside the house. But the entire time, it was already upstairs waiting in darkness,